Okay, quick installation guide for the Millstone fountain, because we do get a few questions in relation to this one. When we supply this particular stone, we don't provide a metal grid for it. The reason for that is because the weight of the stone transfers straight through to the weight on the sump below. So this is what takes the weight of the stone. So it doesn't need a metal grid for this one because it's larger than the catch area below. But just to go through some of the components and a great way to get it installed in your garden, we'll supply you basically it's a lid for your sump. Effectively that goes on there. We'll cover that in a bit more detail in just 1 second. This is the area where you sink this into the ground, and this is where your pump is stored. So this is the reservoir. Now what we've done to make it a bit easier, and we would recommend this at home, we have heightened the length that we would normally do it, but you can just get a couple of support bricks underneath your millstone when you're doing the installation. It does make it a lot easier. It gives you the area to work in, because otherwise you're trying to keep this stone lifted in the air with one hand while working with the components below. So get a couple of supports. Bricks on their end are great because they give you that right height, but for this we've just used some wood because it gives us a bit more height for the video. So what you want to do, you want to get the pump that we've supplied, get that situated in the reservoir. Obviously that goes just inside there. Then what we also want to do, this is the centre support. Now in a lot of our photography you'll see on the website, you'll see that the millstone is raised above the ground. This is optional, we don't supply this, but it does allow you to have a great visual with the stone. So when it's installed and you've got your pebbles or your shingles around it, this keeps the stone elevated, gives you this nice sort of drop off with the water cascading off the stone rather than it sitting directly on the ground. But it's just personal preference. But if you wanted one of those, we've just got an offcut of 4x4 waste tube. You could pretty much use what you want. You can continue to use some bricks on their end as well if you wanted to, just to give it a little bit of height. But it is an optional thing. As I say, we don't supply this or include it in any of our packages, but our photography work does include it. It just gives you that idea for how the stone can be presented. So what you want to do is you want to get your pipe and your LED tube, get that situated through the millstone. That allows you to, this is obviously where the water comes out. Then what you want to do, if you're going to be using something similar to us, you want to feed your tube through this first, so that when everything's in situation, that's how it's going to be. And then what you want to do, a bit tricky this bit, you ultimately want to get the lid for your reservoir, feed the connecting cables through it, and as you can see, now you're starting to see the advantage of having the stone on some bricks or supported, because otherwise you'll be trying to do this with the stone on top of you. Once you've got your pipe work through your lid for your reservoir, you want to get your pump, get your connectors done, so you get your tube fitted to the end of your pump, just like that. Get your light module fitted to the connector on the pump, so that gives you the light in the fountain. Then you can situate these below your millstone. Put your lid back on your reservoir, make sure your cable's free and going to, comes out one of the little recirculation points on the reservoir. Obviously this isn't sunk into the ground, just for demonstration purposes, but I'm sure you get the idea when this is in the garden. And now this all centre locates up. Now what you can do is ultimately you can lower down the millstone, take it off the supports. I'll just quickly do that with my colleague, and we'll show you what it's like.